The ASUS ROG Ally is both absolutely incredible and janky beyond belief. It is half-baked beyond measure. Like, it's inconceivable. When it works, you can't help but go, oh my god, what a device. How does this thing exist? How is it this good, this powerful? Like, this device is God's gift to mankind. The tier list goes wheel, fire, penicillin, ROG Ally. But when it doesn't work, you can't help but go, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Why won't you go to sleep? Why won't you wake up from sleep? Why are you like this? Do you know how much you cost? Do you know how much you cost? It's all at times incredibly messy. And to make things even more complicated, your experience might be slightly better, pretty much the exact same, or much worse. So let's break it all down into 3 separate categories: the good, the bad, and the what the fuck. And I'm not using this microphone, so I will remove it from the frame. For someone like me and potentially you watching, this thing is an absolute dream. It is a powerhouse, like, oh my god. It is essentially an entry-level gaming laptop crammed inside a different form factor. And it has no business being as good and as powerful as it is. The first time you start up your favorite games and start playing, it almost feels too good to be true. You can use this thing to play almost anything, wherever you want, whenever you want, and that is such a spectacular feeling. You can play on the bus, on the train, in the bed, on the couch, while you're waiting for a coffee to brew, while you're in the bathroom, in the bathtub, wherever you want, whenever you want. It's absolutely amazing. And just the sheer luxury and feeling of playing, I don't know, Lies of P in the bathtub, like, oh my god, like, the times we live in. Granted, sometimes you will have to play at 720p at like medium-ish settings, depending on the title, but like, on a display this big or this small, like, everything looks either pretty darn good or absolutely spectacular. And because this is in every way, shape, and form a Windows-based computer, you can tweak and tune each and every single setting, which is amazing. It does take a bit of knowledge, there is a slight learning curve, but it's nothing too daunting. You can make it really frugal and just game at like 10 watts or 7 watts, in which case you will get respectable battery life and respectable performance. Or you can go balls to the wall and have it draw as many watts as it possibly can, in which case you will get amazing performance and almost no battery life at all. In any case, this thing does not lack power. Like, it can handle almost anything at reasonable settings other than, I don't know, Alan Wake 2. Like, if you want to play that, which in my opinion was the best game of 2023, just please don't. Everything else, give or take, yeah, it will run it. I love OLED displays more than I love most humans. But if you give me a really good IPS panel, I will love it almost equally as much. And this thing does not disappoint. Oh my god, it's so good. It's amazing. 120 Hz, 1080p, 500 nits of maximum brightness, and perhaps most importantly, it's a VRR panel as well. You can actually use this thing as a desktop replacement. It's that good. It's that powerful, which is amazing. It's kind of a 2-for-1 kind of deal. Now, you might not want to use it as your main PC, but you can. And because it's a Windows-based device, you can run anything you want. Photoshop, Premiere Pro, I don't know, Stable Diffusion, anything. It might not be exceptional at all of those things and use cases, but it can run them. Now, granted, you can use the Steam Deck in exactly the same way, but because this runs Windows out of the box, it's extremely user-friendly for that specific use case and scenario. I hate fan noise. I hate fan noise. This thing, almost dead silent each and every single time. It is insane. Like, you're playing the most demanding games and you can barely hear it. It boggles the mind. It has 2 fans and a very robust cooling solution. It does get a bit toasty, but you never feel that on your hands, which is the most important thing. So if you're as allergic to fan noise as I am, this is the handheld gaming PC to get, full stop. Most OEMs don't really maintain their products all that much, if at all. You buy their thing, you give them your money, and you get an update 2 or 3, and that's basically it. ASUS, in this case, seems to be an exception. Oh my god, have they delivered? Have they gone above and beyond? This thing has grown a tremendous amount over the last, 6-7 months. It's insane. The Ally nowadays is so much more well-rounded and feature-rich than it ever was. And if you bought it day one and had a good unit, more on that later, you're probably extremely happy. Like, it's not the most polished device known to mankind, it's still pretty darn buggy. The bottom line is, this thing for gaming and especially emulation is absolutely phenomenal. Also, as far as handheld gaming PCs go, this thing is like surprisingly portable and compact. It's not small by any stretch of the imagination, but when compared to the Steam Deck, it feels more like a PS Vita Pro or a Switch Pro, if that makes sense, and I love that. Whenever I game on the Steam Deck, it feels like I'm reading the newspaper, it's like this, it's way too wide. Some people love that, I'm okay with it, but the Steam Deck to me never felt as good and as comfortable to use as this thing does. Overall though, I love this thing. It is absolutely amazing. Even though it does have a few very specific flaws you need to be aware of. So let's talk about them. The ROG Ally and Windows Modern Standby is a match made in hell. Sometimes the Ally will not go to sleep. Sometimes it will not wake up from sleep. Sometimes the screen will turn black, but you will still hear the sound. Why? Who knows? We'll just connect this. Why did that happen? Why did that happen? I'll power it off, go to sleep. Alright, it did go to sleep. Try this one again. And there's still sound. Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Good boy. Good boy. Come on, man. And like, am I supposed to rummage through Reddit and YouTube and the World Wide Web to find a solution? I can do that, I did do that, but I'm not happy about it. And again, I don't give a bit who's to blame. Windows, Microsoft, Windows Modern Standby, ASUS, it doesn't matter. This thing should function and work a lot better than it actually does. And sure, you can force the Ally to hibernate every time you press the power button, but is that really a fix or more of a band-aid solution? Because every time you wake it up from hibernation, you will have to wait between 10 and 20 seconds to resume playing. Now that's not the end of the world, right? We're not that spoiled. But for a device that costs as much as this thing does, that is unacceptable. Fuck no. And the weirdest, most ironic, most mind-boggling thing to me is like, I've had Windows on my Steam Deck for eons, and it's been rock solid since day one. No issues with sleep whatsoever. It's been seamless, amazing, user-friendly, so it is possible. Not with this thing. And now someone might drop in and say, oh, well, dude, just download these 50 apps and change these values and settings and command prompt and registry. We can do that. Hurrah for us. But we shouldn't have to do that for a device that costs this much money. That is disgusting. And there are so many random bugs and flaws just like pop up at the most random of moments. When it works, it is absolutely amazing. It's mind-blowing. But when it doesn't work, it's an absolute steaming pile of shit. Am I being too harsh? Potentially. But I'm not saying this because of me. I've been into computing for 20 plus years. I have devoted my entire life to computers. That is the only realm, the only layer of existence of this world as we know it that I adore, that I feel comfortable with. For me, this is nothing. It's a walk in the park. I am a masochist. When something doesn't work, my life makes sense. Zeros and ones, the only two numbers I care for. I'm saying these things because of the hundreds of thousands of people who have bought this thing or plan on buying it because they might be in for a very rude awakening. And I've realized over the years that those of us who are tech savvy have a very skewed perception of those who aren't. To us, these are quirks. Like, we love to tinker with things, with settings and tweak and tune everything. But there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people around the globe who would like to own these things and they are not prepared for what they entail. And moreover, the Ally and devices like it are advertised and are marketed as easy to use, seamless, user-friendly gaming handheld consoles. They are not. Like, when they work the way they are designed to, the way they're supposed to, they are, right? Great. But when they crap out, oh my God, are they messy. The average person normies or just normal people who haven't dedicated their lives to computers, they're not prepared for this. Like, they don't know how to troubleshoot, how to tweak and tune whatever they have to tweak and tune to get this thing to work and function properly. This is not an Aya Neo, a 1X player, a GPD Win, whatever. No, this is a mainstream device built and designed by a mainstream OEM, and it's nowhere near as well-rounded and user-friendly as it has to be, as it needs to be to actually deliver a seamless, friendly experience. This thing is a beautiful, amazing, mind-blowing, buggy, messy Frankenstein of a device that a lot of people love, me included, but it's not for everyone. It's for a very specific group of people who are prepared to deal with the shit this thing brings. There are kids around the globe who have asked for this thing for Christmas, and do you really think that they're prepared to tackle the Windows and Armory Crate related bugginess and bullshit? Absolutely not. The only handheld gaming PC that is actually user-friendly and easy to use and console-like is the Steam Deck. This thing might look like a Steam Deck, it might look like a handheld gaming console, but it's actually a Windows-based device in a different form factor, and that makes it amazing and jaw-dropping and flexible and versatile, but also janky and messy and buggy beyond belief. And you can use this thing to play any game using any launcher and service out there, which is amazing. It really is. Unless it's stuff like Warzone, in which case you'll probably get shadow banned or permanently banned. And like those of us who are in the know, who are tech savvy, we're gonna go on Reddit and on YouTube and check things. But a mainstream buyer will not. And they're probably not prepared for all the mess, the jankiness that comes in tow with the ROG Ally and devices like it, which sucks. Battery life is, It ranges between extremely underwhelming and absolute dog shit. It's not good. It's kind of horrendous. You're gonna get an hour, maybe two, depending on which games you're playing and which modes you're playing in. You might get 3 hours if you're playing, I don't know, Dead Cells at the minimum brightness, and if you're the Fox, and if you've like changed and tweaked and tuned each and every single setting you could find, in that case you might get 3, but for the most part, it's an hour or 2. All of this sounds pretty abysmal, and well, it is, but I am personally okay with it because I only have an hour or 2 per day to game, if even that much. So on that front, this thing delivers. But that also goes to show you that this is not a traditional handheld gaming console, but rather a Windows-based portable device, which just so happens to be good at gaming. If you want better battery life on a handheld gaming PC, you will have to buy the Steam Deck OLED, which is amazing, but not exactly as performant. Or something like a power bank for your Ally, which is a viable option, but it's not exactly ideal because the really good ones are kind of large and bulky and thick and heavy. And that's just one more thing you have to buy and charge and lug around, so it's not exactly user-friendly, but it will get the job done. And last but certainly not least, we have the what the f section. If you want to use this nifty little port here, the microSD card slot, to expand the storage of your Ally, you are in for a rude awakening, because this thing fries microSD cards. Did no one try this out before shipping it out to hundreds of thousands of users across the globe? This is inexcusable. This thing is defective by default. This is no quirk. This is an inherent design flaw, and anyone who paid any amount of money for this thing has every right to be pissed off. There are these safeguards, right? Like quality control, quality assurance, testing. No one tested this. Maybe one random dude in a factory somewhere far, far away who's overworked and undervalued and underpaid, who played Cyberpunk for 10 minutes and was like, yeah, good, works. Shit. This thing upon release cost $700, 7 Benjamin Franklins. For that kind of money, it better make you toast. It doesn't have to make you toast, but it needs to work almost perfectly each and every single time. It cannot be defective by default. For that sum of money, you could have bought a used PlayStation 5 and a Steam Deck. That's a lot. Or a half-baked product that has only now reached a somewhat mature state. How is that fair? How is that fair? If this happens to you, your Ally will get fixed and replaced and repaired, reportedly rather quickly, but it's not a solution because it can and probably will still happen in the future. And if your Ally is out of warranty, and it does happen, and again, it most likely will, you are out of luck. And so on the one hand, yes, ASUS is doing a really good job at fixing this as best they can, but on the other, you for not designing this thing the way it was supposed to be designed. So like, if you plan on buying this thing, microSD cards are off the table. It's just not safe. With all that being said, I still love it. It's janky and messy and buggy beyond belief. Oh my god, sometimes a total mess. But it's also beautiful and well built, and this display is jaw-dropping, and it's silent and well built, and it plays all of my games so well. I love it. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the only mainstream device of this kind that's readily available and still somewhat portable and somewhat lightweight. The Steam Deck is amazing, but it's larger and heavier and wider, and nowhere near as capable performance-wise. The Legion Go is very similar, but also entirely different and much more niche, and the Claw will probably be a fair bit worse. So if you need a handheld gaming PC running Windows, then this still is your best choice. A flawed choice, an imperfect choice, a janky choice, but a good choice nonetheless. Thanks for watching. And because you have such a granular level, granular, you can do it. Granular. And because you have such a granular, and because you have such a granular, and because you have such a granular, it's 3:50 in the morning. I have no life. Thank you for watching.